Good morning, and welcome to All Levels Yoga, live from the Hatha Yoga Center in Seattle, Washington. I'm Chris, and I'm just going to sit for a moment and see if any students show up and have any requests today. So I'm going to start out then with just a little bit of breathing. I'm going to set an intention for my practice today, and you could join me in that, bringing your hands together at your heart. You could bow your head and take a breath or two, setting an intention or dedication. Just grounding yourself. And then just beginning to feel length in your spine, feeling your seat heavy. You might even yourself out a little bit. We all tend to sit a little bit more to one side or the other. So finding something like balance in your seat, letting your shoulders relax away from your ears. Neck is always good. Hi, Amy. Good morning. Hi, Julia. And just allowing your head to be balanced right on top of your shoulders. And find your nice, steady, full breath. Balanced in and out through your nose. Just taking a few breaths, just bringing yourself present into your body and your breath. Feeling the weight of your body, feeling the length in your spine. Let's just sweep our arms up and reach up like you're waking up in the morning and you're stretching. And then bring your hands back together at your heart, and let's just do that 2 more times. Just sweep your arms up. Again, just like you're getting out of bed and stretching. Hands together at your heart. 1 more time. Really stretching, reaching. And bringing the hands back together. And if anybody's joining in and you have any requests, you can drop them in the comments. I'm going to come back and stand at the front of my mat. Let me put the camera up a little higher. Make sure I have it set right. All right. 1 second here. This is a little funky. There we go. And then coming to the front of your mat and finding your standing mountain pose. Feeling your feet on the floor, spreading your toes. Really making contact with the floor. So really feeling how the sole of the feet is touching the floor. You might notice that you're standing more heavily into the balls of your feet or your heels. So just kind of noticing your habits. And then sweeping your arms up. Reaching up, lengthening. I like to do a little side to side to begin with. Gentle movement. Letting your shoulder blades slide down your rib cage as you ground your sacrum, lift your pubic bone, lift your heart. 1 more breath here, and then exhale, come forward, hinging forward at the hip. And you can bend your knees quite a bit. Keep your neck kind of at ease here. Even though you're keeping a long neutral neck, try not to add any extra gripping or tension in the neck. And just another breath here in your forward bend, just letting the backs of the legs slowly open. Lifting your tail, keeping the head and shoulders lifted so no rounding is happening. Shoulder blades stay on the rib cage in the back. And then step your left foot back. Let's first come into a little lower lunge, so keeping your abdomen right alongside the right thigh. maybe the fingertips to the floor, or even up on the knee, but keeping your head and shoulders lifted, breathing. Nice steady breath. Ujjayi breathing in and out through your nose, closing off the back of the throat just a tiny bit so you can hear the breath. Bringing the weight back up and over your knee. You could step that right foot back a little bit so that you're really strong. You could even lift your foot and balance. Raise your arms, lift your gaze. Hips stay square. So the front foot is just lightly on the floor. Most of the weight is back over your left knee. Lengthening up. And again, bringing your gaze up, breathing. You can find your gaze will help you stay focused, your drishti. One more breath, inhale. Exhaling your hands down and stepping back up to downward facing dog. So really spread your hands, wrap the elbows in. Shoulders are sliding, and then you can bend into one knee and the other. You might also try bending your knees and coming onto the balls of the feet and just swiveling your heels a bit so you can get into the ankles, and the calves, sides of your lower legs. Keeping the neck neutral. And then coming back to center. Take a breath, inhale, and coming forward into plank as you exhale, keeping your head lifted. Hips are centered in between the crown of the head and the heels. Breathing. And then maybe you bring your knees down or you keep the knees lifted. Elbows by the sides, coming all the way down onto the floor. Sweeping the arms back. You can keep the tops of your feet on the floor as you roll up. Breathing. And maybe a little side to side, or you could roll onto one side. Rolling onto, say, your left side, drawing your right shoulder blade down. Breathing. And then rolling back through center. And over to the right side, left shoulder blade is sliding. Breathing. And back onto your belly. Just taking a breath. And then release, bring your hands under your shoulders, tuck the elbows in by your sides, bend the knees, tuck the toes, lift the hips. Coming back to downward facing dog. And let's step right foot up and over the left foot, lifting your right hip. Reaching strongly through your hands as you wrap your elbows in. Again, don't let any extra tension gather in the neck. Let it be long and neutral. Stepping back through center, stepping left foot over the right, bringing the sole of the left foot to the floor. Maybe the right heel comes up, or maybe you can bring it down, but lifting the left hip, and then coming back to center. Taking a breath in your Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Stepping your left foot forward, bringing your right knee down. And letting the arms, let's come into this one first, just coming into this little bit lower version of your low lunge. Keeping the fingertips on the floor, left side of the torso right alongside the inner thigh. Keeping shoulders and head lifted. Nice steady breath. And then you can bring yourself back up and maybe bring the left foot back a little, bringing the weight over your right knee. You could even try lifting your left foot and then let the arms come up, keeping that same kind of engagement, lifting your gaze. Again, finding something to gaze at and staying focused with your breath and your gaze. Just practicing this kind of focused attention, noticing what comes up, One more breath, and then we'll step forward into the forward bend with our feet hip width. Long spine, lifting tail, head and shoulders stay lifted. Not arching the neck though, keeping it long. One more breath here. And then we'll bring the arms up. Come all the way up to stand. And again, grounding through your sacrum, lifting through pubic bone, your sternum, reaching. Exhale, bring your hands together at your heart. And just pause for a moment. I'm just going to see if there are any further requests. Hi, Sharon. Anything special for you today? Hi, Lori. Let me know. All right. I'm just going to move this forward a little bit. Sorry, guys. So that I know you can see the mat. There we go. Let's come back into our standing mountain. And just let your arms hang for a moment, but open up the front of the chest. So feel the broadening here. Almost like your shoulders are getting wider. And then bringing the arms up. Breathing. Again, grounding through sacrum, lifting through pubic bone, keeping the tailbone lengthening down towards the heels. So no compression in your low back. Drawing the navel in, breathing. Exhale, come forward. Long spine. Watching for the habits with the neck that build tension. So just keeping it easy. And then we'll step the left foot to the back of the mat. And bend the back knee, coming up into your warrior one lunge with your back heel lifted. Your right knee is tracking over the center of your toes. Your hips are square, and you're breathing. You might even come a little deeper into the bend of your knees. And then step back to downward facing dog. Lifting up and stepping back. And then maybe here, you could take a variation for your shoulder. You could reach your right arm back for your lower left leg, maybe looking underneath your left arm. Keeping your hips still pretty square. And then reaching through your right hand, reaching left hand back for the ankle or lower left leg. And then back to center. Grounding yourself again in your downward dog. Exhale as you come forward into plank pose. Head stays lifted. And then maybe you could lift your foot, lift your left foot. Keeping your head and shoulders lifted. And then your right foot. Sacrum stays level. And release that. And then we'll come through a push-up, maybe about halfway. And then perhaps coming up into the higher version of your cobra, or you can come down onto your forearms and do Sphinx pose. Just breathing. If you're up here, rolling your shoulders back and down and lifting up. And then we'll exit and come back to downward facing dog. Draw your hips back. You could take a breath into your low back before you lift up. And then maybe here you could put the two variations together or take the one you prefer. So you could try stepping right foot over left, bringing the sole of your right foot down, maybe reaching for your right lower leg, wrapping your left elbow in so your shoulder blade can slide. And then coming back through center, left leg steps over the right, sole of the left foot to the floor, reaching back for that ankle as you lift your left hip. And breathing. And coming back to center. Just pause for a moment. Then we'll step the left foot forward. Coming up. Bending your back knee. And feeling the lift you get, even as you're sinking. So kind of almost like a sense of buoyancy. Your legs are strong. Upper body is light, lifting. Maybe coming a little deeper. And then we'll step forward. Again, into the forward bend, just warming up our bodies. So long spine. Nice steady breath. Feet are hip width. And then swinging the arms up again, reaching up. Taking another breath here. And then hands together at your heart. And just pause for a moment, feeling your breath. And feeling your heart beating. And then we'll raise the arms, lengthen up. Exhale, come forward. Long spine. Let's step back one leg at a time to downward facing dog. And with your head lifted, inhale, come forward to plank. Exhale, back to down dog. Do that a couple times. Moving with the breath. And then pause in your downward dog. And then from here, we'll step the right foot to the front of the mat and come into the low lunge here. So keeping the right inner thigh right up against your abdomen. You can always come up onto the knee if it's hard to reach the ground, if it causes you to round your shoulders. Keep the shoulders and the head lifted, reaching back strongly through that left heel. And then here in this lower lunge, let's twist it. So just keep your left hand on the floor or on a block and open up. So still real strong in your legs, lifting a little under your left thigh, drawing the right hip back as you open your chest. Gaze could go up or straight ahead. Keeping the neck long. One more breath. And then bringing that hand down. Bring your hand on the inside of your foot for a moment. Maybe letting your knee drop open. Letting the inner edge of your foot come up. You can also drop your left knee. Keeping the head lifted. And then bringing that knee back in. And let's step back to downward facing dog. Taking a breath here. Moving a little bit. And then we'll step the left foot to the front of the mat. Coming into the low lunge with your right knee is still lifted. Maybe left side of your abdomen is right up alongside your left inner thigh. You can use a block or bring your hands up if you need to, but keep that, the head and the shoulders lifting. Really strong in your right leg. And then we'll twist it. So right hand on the floor or a block, opening the chest, drawing your left hip back, breathing. Really strong in your right leg. Lift a little under the right thigh. Firm up your right thigh. You could look up. Just keep the neck long. And then bringing that hand down. You could bring it on the inside of the foot. And maybe your right knee comes down, or you can keep it lifted, but open the sole of your left foot. Just letting your knee drop out safely. You can stay up, or you could come down lower if you want. Just keeping the spine long. draw that knee back in before we step back. And then step back to downward dog again. And I'm just taking a breath here, evening yourself out. And then we'll step the right foot to the front of the mat. And we're going to come up and bring our legs into a triangle stance. So pretty much like a leg's length or so between the feet. Kind of the front heel is lined up, about with the ball of the back foot. There's no perfect alignment, but approximately. So feel your feet on the floor. You could reach through your hands and draw the hips back. And then bring your hand down and come into triangle. So maybe the hand comes to the shin, but lightly, so not a lot of weight there. Pressing and lifting up. Drawing the belly in. You might turn and look up. Again, it doesn't matter which direction you're looking as much as that your neck's not dropping. So keep it long. You're wrapping this left hip open, as well as your rib cage. Watching, my right shoulder kind of wants to roll in, so keep it open. And then coming back up, bending into the right knee. We'll come into extended side angle. So you might widen the stance a little bit, or lengthen it a little bit. And coming into the extended side angle, starting maybe with your right elbow to the right knee, arm comes up. So feel all the way from the outer edge of your left foot all the way up through your left fingertips. Palm can turn towards the back of the room. Lift up out of your elbow or bring your hand down to your ankle. Again, you're wrapping this left hip back. And your sit bones are reaching back towards the heel. Just another breath. And then bringing yourself back to downward facing dog. Turn around. Just moving a little bit. You can always come to your knees if you need to take prayer pose. And take a break. And then from here, we'll step our left foot all the way to the front of the mat. And again, we're lining up for triangle, so finding your feet on the floor and reaching through the arms, let the hips come back. Draw your belly in, reaching, and then bring the hand down, maybe to the shin. So your hips are angling back towards the back heel, feeling strong in both feet, like really feel your feet on the floor. Wrapping your left hip back and rolling your chest open. Feel your belly, engaging, breathing. Again, you can look in any direction, but keep your neck long. And then coming back up and bending into your left knee for extended side angle. Hips reach back towards the heel, bending into your knee, keeping the knee tracking over the toes. Maybe elbow to the knee to begin with. Arm comes up and over. So really feel into the outer edge of your right foot. Press into the floor and lengthen up. Breathing. Stay really steady with your breath. Maybe bringing the left hand to the ankle. Feel your belly. Let it help stabilize you. Steady breath. And then bringing the hands down, step back to downward facing dog. Let's bring the knees wide, like the width of the mat, and just come into a little resting pose. Bring the hips back. Maybe the arms forward. Let your breath come back down to a resting breath and your heart rate back to resting. Breathe into your back. And then let's wiggle forward and let's all come into Sphinx pose. So elbows a little bit forward of the shoulders. Lifting your navel here to protect your low back and feeling how your tailbone can lengthen back towards your heels to take any compression out of the low back that you might feel. We're not trying to crunch the low back. Breathing. Steady breath, steady gaze. It's easy to space out when we get closer to the floor. So stay with your breath. And then let's come back up to downward dog. Tuck your elbows in, press into your hands, and then lift up. Lift the tail. Just kind of working your way through these transitions between poses. Turn around. Let's step our right foot forward for pyramid. So coming all the way up. Bring your hands maybe to your hips and just feel how your hips are square. Feeling your feet kind of pressing into the floor. And then bring the hands back to the sacrum. Maybe you can bring some weight back into your left foot as you keep your hips square. Try lifting your right foot. And keep the neck, just keep your chin kind of tucked. Try to breathe steady, smooth. And then the right foot comes down. Keep your hands clasped. And come forward into your pyramid pose. Hinging forward at the hip. Keep drawing your right hip back. Maybe releasing the hands when you're ready. Maybe to the floor, or it could be on your leg, whatever it takes to keep your spine long. Watch for any gathering tension in your neck. And taking a breath here. And then let's twist. So, keeping your left fingertips on the floor maybe, and lifting up. So taking a little weight out of your left hand, using your core, reaching up. Watch for the left shoulder to try to creep forward. Keep it open. Your inner thighs are kind of, it's like they're magnetized towards each other. Right hip is drawing back. Lifting belly. One more breath. Chest is nice and open. And then bring the hand down and just pause for a moment. And then we'll step back to downward facing dog. So kind of evening yourself out. You can try lifting your left hand up to your sacrum. Really press through your right hand and wrap your elbow in. If you want more, you could lift your your right leg. Could lift your left leg too, but coming into a two-limbed dog or just staying with a three-limbed. Press up through your heel, release your hand and your foot. If you're doing that, and then reach your right hand back up towards your sacrum, the back of your hand onto your sacrum. Maybe lifting the left leg. Watch for your neck here. It's easy to start using your neck, overusing your neck, I should say. Really wrapping the elbow in on the left arm. So the shoulder blade can slide and stay strong, reaching your right hand down, left foot back. And then from here, we'll step the left foot forward for pyramid distance. Bring your hands to your hips and come up. And then maybe clasping hands at sacrum, coming into bringing the weight back over your right foot and lifting left foot. Finding your breath, you're staying square. And then the left foot comes down. And we'll come forward with hands clasped, hinging forward at the hip. Neck stays long. Release your hands, maybe to your shin or to the floor. Keep drawing that left hip back. Right hip forward. Feel your feet on the floor. Taking a breath here in pyramid. And then we'll twist it. So keeping fingertips of the right hand on the floor, drawing the left hip back, opening your chest. Watching again for your right shoulder not to roll in. Keeping the head back, opening the chest really strong in your legs. And then bringing that hand down. And pause for a moment before you step back to downward dog, just taking your time. We're not in a rush. And then stepping back. We're gonna do pigeon, but we're gonna do a couple of little core exercises on our way there. So what we'll do is we'll lift, say, the right foot, and we're just gonna draw the knee forward as we round, bringing it to the outer right elbow, and then bringing it back up. And then to the inner right elbow, rounding, drawing the knee in. Exhale, inhale it back up. Exhale, rounding, drawing your right knee towards your inner left elbow. Inhale it back up. Last one will be to the outer left elbow. Inhale back up. And then draw that knee forward, bringing it down. And coming into pigeon. So maybe the upward pigeon to begin with. So kind of setting yourself up and then feeling how you can lift up. Might be a little sense of engagement in your left glutes just to protect the back. And then slowly with this nice alignment coming forward, maybe to your forearms. Sometimes it's nice to have a block to support your head if your neck wants to drop or your head wants to drop, but otherwise just keeping the neck long. So feel the breath. Feel it all the way around your rib cage. All of those fibers in between the ribs, the muscle fibers, the connective tissue, stretching a little bit. So less resistance with the breath. More openness, breath is flowing. You might be able to use your Ujjayi breathing, help you stay focused. Once again, sometimes the closer I get to the floor, the more I start doing other projects. So just pay attention, bringing your hands to stillness, and really bringing yourself into the awareness of the breath. And then let's walk the hands back up. Bring your left hand kind of next to your right knee, reaching back for your ankle with your right hand. And maybe looking back. You could also kind of bend your right elbow as you roll that right shoulder back. Drawing your belly in to protect your low back. Head is just balanced on top of your shoulders. No need to strain the neck and try to look back behind you. Just keep it easy. Release the foot. And then switch hands, bringing right hand down, left hand back. Maybe you stay here, or you could come into this more quad stretch by bringing your heel towards your buttock. Lifting up out of the floor. Nice steady breath. Maybe releasing that when you're ready. And then let's lean towards the right and bring your left leg around. If you can bring your left foot to the outer, outside of your right thigh, and then as you hold your knee, let your sit bone come back down. If that feels comfortable on your right knee, you could stay there, or you could straighten your right leg. Maybe reaching right hand underneath your left thigh for the twist. Left hand comes back, turning your spine. Once again, keep the neck nice and easy here. It's balanced, head is balanced. And it's lifting, it's lengthening up. So your head is turning. We have a lot more ability to rotate our neck than like the other parts of our spine. So sometimes we'll overcompensate with our neck in these poses to get further into a pose. There's nowhere to go. So breathe. The place to go is your breath. The place to go is the alignment of your spine. And we're in no hurry either. So we're not trying to be like in a yoga contest next year. So we don't have to push fast. We can make slow, easy progress, whatever that looks like for us. I don't know, maybe MJ is planning on being in a yoga contest. Maybe I'm wrong. I doubt it though. Doesn't seem like your style. And then just slowly unwind and pause for a moment, and then let's stack the knees and come forward and come into our good old steer pose. So hands could be maybe on your ankles or back behind you, your choice. Just finding a place where you can keep your chest open as you perhaps come forward. Sit bones are staying pretty grounded. You'll probably feel the left sit bones a little less heavy on the floor with that leg on top. As long as the knees are okay with it, you can extend your right leg as well if you need to, just like we did in the twist. And again, watching for the head to come forward and our desire to come further. Just let it be with the breath. If anything's happening, it's organic rather than forced. Sometimes we'll inhale and we kind of slightly back out, lengthen the spine, and then we exhale as we come perhaps just a slight bit deeper. So using your exhale to come a little further if that's where your body feels safe. If your breath is strained, then back off. And come back to the place where it feels like your breath can be smooth and deep and comfortable. And then let's unwind the legs. We're going to do the other side, but bring your feet in front of you. So a couple ways you can go with your hands. You might, if you want, just comfortable for your shoulders to stay open, turn your fingers out to the sides. You could try that first. We're going to lift up. We'll go in and out of this a few times. Just bring the seat down, tap the floor, and come back up. Let's do that 3 times. Tap the floor, come back up. Tap the floor, this time come up and hold for a couple breaths. You can keep your chin tucked or neck long. Lift your hips a little higher and then slowly bring them back down. And then we started in pigeon on this side, so bring your left leg back and then tuck your toes and bring your right leg up, coming into downward facing dog. Just evening yourself out, breathing. Coming back to your base pose here, down dog. And then we're going to do the other side with the left leg. So we'll lift the left leg straight up. And as we exhale, we'll round forward, drawing knee to the outer left elbow. And inhale back up. Exhale, knee to the inner left elbow, rounding. Inhale back up. Exhale, knee to the inner right elbow. Inhale back up. Exhale, rounding, knee across your body to the outer right elbow. And back up, and then into pigeon. And finding this kind of upward facing pigeon, which is a back bend. Draw the belly in, open the chest, breathing, and coming forward, maybe to your forearms, keeping your neck long. It's totally fine to come all the way down with your head to the floor. Just make sure that you're not rounding too much to get there. If you want to relax your head and neck. And you can also support your head with a block or in some other way. But this variation on your forearms allows you to keep the neck engaged and be aware of the position of your neck. And keeping it long and neutral. So breathing. Feeling the breath in the back of your body, like in the back of the rib cage, in the sides, maybe in your belly. You might invite the breath to come a little deeper, especially in these longer held poses. So when you invite the breath to come deeper into your belly, that really means that you're allowing your diaphragm to move further down. You're making some space for it. You're acknowledging it. And then walking the hands back in, you could bring your right hand near your left knee, reaching back for the right foot with your left hand, so you're in a twist. I like to reach for the outer ankle so that my shoulder can open, and then kind of pulling into my hand with my ankle gives me a lengthening of my psoas. On the right side, I feel it up into my rib cage. And then, of course, the stretch of your shoulder, breathing. Feeling the breath all the way around your body. Back of your ribs, even in this position. And then releasing that foot, bringing the left hand down in front of you and the right hand back. Maybe just here, or you can also spin your fingertips and bring your heel towards your buttock for a quad stretch. Opening your shoulder. I've been doing these a lot lately, but they feel so good to me, and I hope they do to you too. You get a lot of different things going on. You're getting a twist, you're getting an outer hip stretch, quad stretch, maybe. And then releasing that foot. And leaning to the left as you bring your right foot up and over to the other side of your left leg. You can extend your left leg, just slowly bringing the right sit bone back. And taking a moment to find your spine before you breathe yourself into the twist, maybe reaching underneath with your left hand underneath your right thigh. And just turning the spine, breathing. And again, noticing if you're striving in your pose to come deeper. And of course that might be just what you need, is a little more kind of pushing yourself in a gentle way. But you also might be able to back off and find your breath and move with the breath. Just different approaches, just noticing your habits and your tendencies, which could change from day to day also. Certainly some days we have more of our tapas, or our kind of fiery energy to push ourselves, and or determination, whatever you want to call that. I think it translates, tapas translates as determination. And some days it's harder. Maybe we didn't sleep well, or we're dehydrated, or we're just tired. Stacking your knees if you can. You could extend your left leg if you need to, but stacking the knees for this Gomukhasana. Keeping the spine long and the chest open. You could even experiment with your bandhas, so lifting a little in your pelvic floor, Mula Bandha. a little lift here in the diaphragm area under the ribs. It's Uddiyana Bandha, and a little tuck of the chin, but still breathing. You're not holding your breath. It's just a gentle engagement to keep your spine supported and long. Taking a couple more breaths before we come back to, actually we'll do that same reverse tabletop pose that we did before. And you can use different hand positions with that. So one more breath here, and then coming up, unwind your legs. So bend the knees and bring the feet hip width. I'm experimenting right now with bringing my fingertips out to the sides, which just is a little easier on the shoulders. You also could bring your fingertips facing back. And then lift the hips. Bring your seat back down, tap it, and up. Feel your glutes helping to bring you up. And then one last time, tapping and coming up and pause. If your shoulders, if it feels like too much for your shoulders, you can turn the fingers out to the sides. Hips are lifting, almost like you're tucking your pelvis. Keep your chin tucked. If your head goes back easily and you can breathe and swallow, you can do that. It's fine. Just paying attention. And then really slowly bringing the hips back down. And let's extend the legs and come into a forward bend. So that might be just with your hands on the floor. You could reach for your feet by keeping the long spine. If you can get your feet, you could also draw the toes back. Find to have your hands anywhere else but your toes. So tailbone is lengthening out towards behind you. So there's no rounding in the low back. If there is rounding in your low back, then back off or even bend your knees a little bit and find that neutral lower back. And then let's roll down onto our back. So reach your arms forward. We'll do this a couple times. Just keeping your heels on the floor and rolling back, going slowly. I like to keep my chin tucked just to protect the neck, and then reach up, stretch up. And then with your arms up towards fingertips towards the ceiling, tuck your chin, look at your toes, and roll back up. It's a little harder to roll back up, but that helps. And then again, roll back. Some people call this Pilates roll down. Keeping your legs on the floor. They're going to slide a little, chin tucked. And then one more time, reach up. Take a breath, stretching, and then fingertips towards the ceiling. Look at your toes. Roll back up, a little harder. And then we'll do one last one. If you want to change your arm position, you want it to be harder, you could lengthen your arms up. Go slow. Curling down with your chin tucked and then coming to the floor. Drawing your knees in. Rocking a little bit side to side. Let's do a little bit of core work on our back here. So let's bring the legs straight up and the arms out to the sides. If you want to use a ball underneath your lower back, you could do that. I'm going to have a ball handy. I know some people like to use the ball when we do this core work, and it can be pretty helpful as far as keeping your back in a neutral position. So the arms are going to come out to the sides. Legs are going to come straight up. We'll start with just the side to side. So your feet stay, soles stay towards the ceiling. You're moving slowly, your sacrum is staying on the floor. So go as far as you can without picking it up. Try to let your shoulders stay down so you're not using the shoulders to help move you. It's all controlled by your belly. muscles in your lower back. Keep going. Feeling what you have to do to put the brakes on the movement. It's a little bit of oblique engagement for that. Just a couple more times, side to side. You feel one foot slides down the inner ankle of the other leg. And then come back to center and just draw your knees in. You can lift your arms and legs up and just shake them a little. Feels kind of good. And then knees back in. And then again, arms out to the sides, or you could bring them like down by your sides. We're gonna just do leg downs. We'll start with one leg at a time, so heels together, toes apart. And inhale your right heel towards the floor, press tailbone down and exhale back up. And then the other side. You could be doing this with the ball underneath, pressing the tailbone into this ball to exhale back up. So keeping the belly long, shoulders are pretty relaxed. A lot of the work is happening in the center of your body, most of it. Couple more times. You might switch now to two legs. So reaching out through your heels, pressing your tailbone down as you exhale back up. And then draw the knees into the chest, rocking a little bit side to side. Just letting it go. And then let's just bring the soles of your feet to the floor. Arms out to the sides, and just lift the soles of your feet off the floor without changing your lower back a lot. So there's still the natural curve. You're still pressing tailbone into the floor. That itself is pretty challenging, actually, to just stay there with the feet lifted and then bring them back down. And let your knees kind of go side to side a little bit, just easing it out. Let's do that again, but this time lift your feet and then you can bring your knees together and just let your knees go side to side. So the feet are lifted off the floor. You're not bringing your knees back in towards the chest at all. And the knees just come over and you're putting the brakes on before they come to the floor. Try to relax the upper body. It kind of wiggles you downwards a little bit. Like a slow walk towards the bottom of your mat. The next time your knees come over towards the left, you could pause, you could extend your top leg if you want. Just wrapping back with the right hip and the side, the obliques, kind of pulling you back, supporting you. Tailbone is reaching out behind you in a neutral position. And then bend the knee, come back through center and over to the other side. So keeping the neutral curve of your low back, you might extend your left leg for a little more. Keep the shoulders on the floor. Draw the belly in. Breathing. And then bending that knee and coming back in. Draw the knees in. Let's bring the feet to the floor and roll up into bridge pose. So feet are hip width, tucking your shoulders underneath, keeping that neutral neck curve. So untuck your neck a little so it's not flattening out. Lift your hips. You could clasp your hands. Lift the hips a little higher. Lengthening your tailbone there so you're feeling no compression in your low back at all, really. Got to use some strong muscles here to do that. To tuck your pelvis. And then just untuck your shoulders and slowly roll back down. Let your feet be the width of the mat and your arms out to the side. Let your knees go side to side. When the knees come over towards the left, you could pick up your left ankle and put it on top of right knee. Breathing into the side of your right rib cage and hip. And then unhooking your foot. Feet stay wide, coming over to the right. Maybe picking up your right ankle, putting it on top of your left knee. Maybe looking over the left shoulder. Moving that knee towards the floor. Breathing. And then releasing and coming back up, knees back up, drawing your knees in. You could lift your head. You could even take your hands back behind your head and draw your elbows to your knees. So you're stretching into the back of the neck. Be careful. You don't have to bring the elbows all the way to the knees, but. And then release that. Let's roll over onto our side. Let's come back up to hands and knees. And let's do a quick stretch for the wrists. So turning your fingers back, keeping the head and shoulders lifted, and maybe bend into one elbow and the other. And feel into your palms and fingers. And then we'll come back to hands and knees. Do a couple cat-cow stretches, rounding, exhale. Inhale, tip. Exhale, round. Arch, and then come back to hands and knees again. Let's reach back through the right foot. Press back through the sole of the foot, lifting up, reaching forward with your left arm. Thumb is pointing up. You might lift the top of your left foot up off the floor. It's a little harder. Feel your navel is drawing in towards your spine, so you're kind of cinching around your waist for support. Breathing. Really long from the heel all the way through the fingertips. One more breath. Release it and circle your hips in one direction and the other. Coming back to hands and knees. This time reaching back through your left foot. Toes are pointing straight down, so your sacrum is level. Reaching forward with the right arm. Thumb is pointing up. Lift the top of your right foot up for more if you want. Feeling kind of this sense of the core of your body is engaged. Breathing. And releasing and circling the hips again. In one direction and then in the other. And then back to center. Let's come up to downward facing dog one more time. So lifting the hips and then lifting your right leg, walking your hands back towards your left foot. So you're going to come into this. It could start out like as it's like warrior 3. The leg is pressing straight back, but you also might try lifting that foot up and bending forward so you're in more of a standing splits. Maybe your right hand walks back towards the ankle for more balancing work. And then just walking the hands back out, bringing the right leg down. And pause, just ease it out. Then we'll lift left leg and we'll walk the hands back towards the right ankle, maybe bringing your right hand to the ankle. Again, you might be like in this more of a kind of warrior three position, drawing your right hip back, but you also might be able to lift the left leg up further, press up through the heel, coming into the forward fold, so you're in more of a splits, a standing splits. Maybe you can play with your left hand coming towards your right ankle. It's difficult. And then walking the hands back out, bringing the foot down. And bring your knees down. We're going to do one inversion before we close, but to prepare for that, which could be a shoulder stand, not shoulder stand, a forearm stand, or it could be a handstand at the wall if you have a place in your house for that, or could also be 90 degrees at the wall. But let's do a quick dolphin. So planting your forearms, you can keep your hands clasped, it's a little easier on the shoulders, or spreading the hands, keeping the shoulders open, tucking your toes, lifting your hips, walking the feet in a bit, and then sliding. The face, you're looking straight down at the floor as you do this. A couple more times. Moving through a comfortable range of motion in the shoulder joint, not straining too much. And then knees come down and rest. And then we're going to pick an inversion. So we all have different things that we want or need to do. And most of us are at home where we have a wall. If you don't have a wall, you could also do a different pose, or you could lie with your legs up the wall. So a couple options would be, do you want to demonstrate?
Oh, sure.
So MJ's going to demonstrate, let's say, a handstand at the wall. So she's going to kick up. And she's lengthening up. You can see her she's looking down at the floor, but she's lifting up through her tailbone, up through her heels, pressing up nice, and then coming back down. That was awesome. And that could also be a forearm stand, which I could show you. So that's like with the same arms that we used for dolphin, and then kicking up, just like MJ did. We're gonna lengthen up, breathing, and then of course there's always the option of laying on your back and bringing your legs up the wall.
How do you start to come up with that without the wall?
We can talk about it in a little bit. I'm going to take my mats and fold them up. So usually after we do some going upside down, we get a little excited. So you might come into a prayer pose and just bring your energy back to calm again. It's kind of exciting for the nervous system, so breathing. And then we're going to have a ball to roll on for a few minutes. So I think most of you have one at home now. So getting a ball, we love these small basketballs here. I hope you have one by now. So bringing it underneath your sacrum to begin with. And let's just roll into the low back. So a little side to side. And then maybe coming into bridge, you could bring the ball up higher. Just finding your spots. Maybe a supported bridge. Just making sure your neck is supported so there's not extra strain on the neck. Maybe rolling up and down the spine. I also like to get into my lats, into the side body a little bit. You might like that too. And of course, Your ball might be too squishy, you might need to pump it up a little. Or maybe it's too hard. Sometimes if it's too hard, then we end up not having the optimal experience because we're just resisting and tensing up against it. So another thing I know neck was requested would be to lay on your back and bring the ball underneath your head and just turning your head from side to side. You might pause on one side and just press the ball into those muscles that feel tight. Just feeling how your breath and your heart rate are calming back down as you do these more relaxing things with the ball. And then I would recommend bringing the ball back under the sacrum and draping over the ball so that you can have a passive opening at the front of the hips. So getting the ball into just the right spot so that you're not feeling crunchy in your low back. So you're kind of lengthening, your tailbone is lengthening down towards the heels. This is also a good place to breathe. There's lots of room for the breath. And then you might walk your feet back in and maybe bring the ball under your outer hip on one side. You can do this with your back down on the floor, or you can also sit on the ball and lift up. Whichever feels good. Just getting into the rotators. You can feel it when you hit that spot. Making your way to the other side when you're ready. And here also just noticing your neck. Sometimes it's easy to, when you're in these more kind of passive exercises, to let your neck do something unconsciously, like gather more tension or come into a position that's not optimal for supporting the head or for the breath. So just keeping your awareness of your neck and your head position. And noticing how the position of your head and neck is also really vital to good breathing. So a couple more breaths on this outer hip. And then let's take the ball out and come back onto our backs. Draw the knees in. You might extend your left leg and let your right knee come over into a twist. And of course you can take any variations of the twist that seem right for you. Sometimes we like to do eagle legs. So wrapping our legs around each other. Just makes it a little deeper stretch. And then coming back to center. And the left knee comes over into the twist on the other side. And you could take your eagle variation if that felt good. So wrapping your left leg over and around, the left foot comes around the calf. Breathing. Now unwinding that. Coming back to center. One last time, drawing knees in. And breathe into the low back. And then soles of the feet together, perhaps, to start your Shavasana. Knees apart. You could bring the arms up and over, clasping your elbows. Or even just bring your arms into like a cactus shape so the shoulders can be open. Taking a few breaths here. This is a good position for breathing. There's lots of room for your breath here. And maybe you're closing your eyes and extending the legs out into corpse pose, arms down by your sides, your palms facing open. Chest is open and you're breathing. Eyes are closed. You're surrendering the weight of your body and allowing yourself a few minutes here to let your practice kind of integrate. So breathing in whatever natural way happens here, just letting go of any effort with the breath, just letting it be gentle. I'm just feeling your body settling back towards the floor, surrendering. Just a couple more breaths. You might also bring your awareness back to the intention that you set, if you set one at the beginning of this practice, to that dedication, and just kind of hold it up in the light of your awareness. Breathing. And then I think it's good to practice setting intentions and then actually taking action on the intention. So like the reason that I ask this at the beginning of class often is like if you're practicing setting the intention to breathe better, let's say, during class, then that's something that you're actually doing. It's not just like a nice idea that you have that you're, like they say, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And we know that intention isn't enough, that we need to have actions to back up our intentions. So this is just a practice. If we set the intention to breathe better and we work on it during our practice, it helps us to work with that idea. So it's about consciousness. So you might bring your knees back in towards your chest and roll over onto your side and just come back to your seat for a few breaths. Taking a few balanced breaths. We can say, I didn't intend to do this or that or the other thing. When we have intentions and we don't follow through with them, it's kind of like doesn't have a lot of meaning. So practicing bringing our intentions into, like manifesting them, bringing them into life, into our lives. So finding your heavy seat and lengthening up through the crown of the head, taking a couple of nice balanced breaths to close our practice today, in and out through the nose. Exhaling, contracting within. Inhale, lengthening up through the crown of the head. Exhale, keeping that length in the spine. Inhale. And exhale, staying tall. And then you might bow your head to your heart, to your own practice, to your inner teacher, your higher self, or your higher power. Namaste, and thank you so much for coming and joining in and practicing today and for supporting the Hatha Yoga Center through this time. Looking forward to seeing some of you again in real life someday in the near future. Namaste.